He raises his hands in submission, sweating bullets as she points the tip of the pistol to his face. The words echo in his mind, confused why will he be killed if he gets close to them? She remarks that this encounter will be a warning, and with a cold glare she tells him to get out of her sight. A panicking Hinako rushes to defend the boy, explaining that he had saved her and that he was not a dangerous person. A grateful Ichimura smiles, still trembling with fear. A still suspicious Sarah compromises, immediately performing a body check on the shady new kid. Bullets begin to fly, causing Tamito to start running away. Hinako rushes to follow but is stopped by the iron grip of her childhood friend. Tamito was in disbelief. There was no way she was just an ordinary girl. Could she be a hitman? Tamito was at a loss on what to do next. This is the first time he's been targeted by a hitman. Tamito continues his walk, deep in thought, still thinking about her warning. She told him not to get close to them, but that might be difficult considering they're in the same class. Tamito makes his way to his seat, his head still stuck at the events from earlier. Morning. A startled Tamito greets back, causing his seatmate to tell him to relax, amused by his reaction. He tells him that his name is Sasakawa Yasuo, his seat neighbor. The boy tells him to just call him Yasuo and he will call him Tamito. Tamito is shocked that they're already referring to each other by their first names. The boy continues, taking out his phone so they can exchange contact information. Tamito is overjoyed, raising his smartphone up in the air, tears falling down from his eyes. As Tamito continues to celebrate, Yasuo asks him a question. What could he possibly have done? Tamito is confused, he doesn't know what Yasuo is talking about. Yasuo continues, explaining that there must be some reason why he was assigned to this class. Tamito was still confused, he simply doesn't know. Yasuo begins to realize, maybe he literally doesn't know anything yet. And so he asks him if he has ever heard anything from the principal. Principal. Their talk is interrupted by a joyful greeting. Tamito and Yasuo greets her back, the latter also complimenting her beauty with a blushing smile on his face. The girl is delighted seeing the pair of boys getting along so well. Yasuo remarking that Tamito doesn't seem like a dangerous person, causing Tamito to be slightly offended. The girl introduces herself as Mamazono Momoka, bowing gracefully like a princess. So elegant that Tamito wonders if she belonged to a distinguished family. The elegant girl proposes to show him around school since he's unfamiliar with the place. Tamito blushes, grateful and eager. Tamito begins to follow her to the outside, nervous but ready. He takes out his phone realizing that Yasuo sent him a mail. Momoko-chan said you were here type earlier. Heart. Maybe you've already became her prey. LOL. Sarah and Hinako arrives to class, Yasuo once again blushing with delight, remarking that the pair looked like a Japanese and French doll. Hinako begins to ask him if Ichimura had come by earlier and the boy replies that Momoka is showing him around school. Hinako begins shivering, sweating and dreading about the possibilities. She rushes out of the classroom without another word. The pair continues their tour, his heart pounding, thinking about the email earlier. Her prey, there was no way, it must be some sort of cruel joke, they aren't even close, it's just impossible. A small voice on his shoulder proposes the possibility, what if it is real? She snaps him from his daydream, asking if something was wrong. He quickly denies anything amiss, dismissing her worries. She puts him at ease, telling him that it'll be fine to ask her for anything if he needs help. He thanks her, grateful. She calls out his name, confusing him. She begins confessing that ever since she first saw him, the slap launches him from the hallway to a secluded room. Rubbing his sore cheek he begins stuttering, what, why? Immediately she goes for his pants. With a red face, she begins to confess. Ichimura-san, I want to buy you. Suddenly the words from the mail begins to make sense, grabs his shirt and with a quick pull she rips his clothes from his body. She grabs his screaming mouth and grips it close, threatening to crush his cheekbones if he starts screaming again. Her hand was so strong, if this keeps up he will truly be. She blushes, noting his sudden excitement. His head shakes rapidly, denying her claims. She begins rummaging through her pockets, taking out a horrific instrument. A frantic Tamito shakes his head, horrified and desperate to escape. As all seemed lost, a hero arrives with a pair of kitchen knives, jumping through the window to save the day. She holds her weapons heroically as the relieved Tamito calls out her name. Hinako scolds the girl, telling her that she can't do these types of things. She will not allow it. A hungry Momoka is lost in her own world, disregarding her threat. She raises her horrific instrument and readies to strike. The horrific instrument is severed by a quick cut from Hinako's knives, Hinako declaring that she won't let her. She will protect Ichimura-kun's butt. An amused Momoka can't help but be amazed, but with a sudden hand to her shirt she tells Hinako that she's already at her limit and that she was in the way. With her gorilla strength the brave Hinako is laid bare, Momoka delighting at her embarrassed screams. She approaches her, hands rummaging through her skirt again. With a pair of instruments she stands over the tiny girl with only bad intentions in her mind. Cornered, Hinako can do nothing but cry. Tamito bravely picks himself up, a taser in his hand. He regrets using such force, but he is left with no choice. He calls out her name, apologizing as he thrusts the taser into her back. With a cold smile she tells him that she's used to it, stun guns are simply ineffective. She pins him down, sitting on his stomach. Once again rummaging through her skirt she tells him that he's special and she has something powerful for him. As she rummages through her box of treasures, Hinako calls out to the incapacitated Tamito. She desperately tells him that to beat her, he must push her nipples. She continues to explain, telling him that they're a sensitive area and when pushed, she bursts. A red-faced Tamito is unable to will himself to do such an act. There's just no way. Finally, the beastly girl found the best tool for the job. With a smile on her face she tells him to please hold out his but her way. A victorious Tamito stands up, breathing a sigh of relief. He picks her instruments up, completely shocked. He didn't think someone like Momoka would be like that. Hinako grabs Sarah from behind as Tamito begs for a chance to explain the situation. Momoka apologizes, blaming her less of reasoning to her pent-up frustration. An exhausted Tamito loses himself in a dream, and then wakes himself up as it turns into a nightmare. A regretful Momoka conveys her desire to be friends in the future. Tamito completely eager, accepting her apology straight away. The principal arrives, her nose irritated by something that stinks. She points the gun at his face again, reminding him of her threat, while Tamito reassures her that it was just an accident. She begins interrogating him, suspecting that he might be some person with a grudge. Confess and she'll grant him a quick death, but he tells her that it was simply just a misunderstanding. An exhausted Hinako rushes once more to his aid, explaining that he was just running from some dangerous people. Surprising him, he didn't know she was nearby. Hinako explains that she just saw the scene from far away, the boy grateful for her kindness. Yasuo opens the door in a hurry, announcing that the principal has returned, alarming everyone in the room except for the new student. The class begins to rush, taking their seats while he looks on confused. She tells him to take a seat, but the door opens, with a mighty slide, a loud stomp following afterwards. He looks down at her, speculating if she's some elementary student. She asks him if the young man before her is Ichimura Tamito from Sakai. She points her nose up, sniffing the air, and with a disgusted look on her face she declares that he stinks. She continues to her desk as an embarrassed Tamito begins sniffing himself. She babbles on, explaining how humans give birth to evil and how evil also give rise to one's responsibility. She announces that she's Shuhuji Koko, the Seishin High School principal and the Commissioner General of the National Police Agency. He is shocked, completely taken by surprise by this revelation. She tells him to sit down, telling him that she has yet to tell him the situation about the class. As he goes to take his seat, the principal reveals that, to put it bluntly, the class is quite different from the others. Because this is a class full of criminals, Everyone one of your classmates are in here for a different crime. Tamito couldn't believe his ears. How is a class like this even possible? She moves to the chalkboard and with difficulty starts to write something down. She asks him if he was familiar about the criminal opportunity theory and the criminal cause theory. Criminal opportunity claims that crime occurs when an opportunity is presented. The idea of suppressing crimes is to eliminate these opportunities. The National Police Agency is founded upon this theory. On the other hand, criminal cause theory states that the criminal commits crime due to their inner composition. By eliminating their motives of crime, it will reduce the likelihood of committing said crimes. Using the criminal cause theory, I've gained the approval from the government to form this class. The more a crime is committed, the more it will become second nature, and so it is their wish to change the antisocial behaviors of the young criminals through education, to make them form socially desirable traits and hence promote law-abiding behaviors. That is her goal for creating the class. Tamito was still puzzled. Why is he in the class? He's not a criminal. To his confusion, she starts sniffing him. She continues, increasing her sniffing intensity, causing a particular girl to be quite agitated. She pinches her nose closed, telling him that he smelled like he was mixed in with a lot of criminal activities. She begins to explain, telling him that her sense of smell is not only good but it can also tell the difference between the scents, like the scent of criminals. She brags that her sniffing ability has helped her catch nearly 1,000 criminals. She then tells him that the students are selected based on their odor and his entrance exam papers were emitting an odor of a criminal. A whimpering Tamito asks her on what kind of crime could he possibly have done. The principal lets out a proud smile. Looks like her nose was correct again. The confident principal reassures him that she will take good care of them, promising not to use any scary correction methods, confident in her ability to nurture with proper guidance. And with another confident smile she tells him that he'll get along with everyone since they're just like him. But he wasn't. He was just a victim. Standing up, he pleads, "Can he please transfer to another class?" Bluntly she replies with a no, he may not. He excuses himself, running away suddenly as Hinako calls out to him to no avail. Hinako volunteers to bring him back, but the principal decides that retrieving him will be the entire class duty. The girl with shade slams her desk, questioning the principal's request, but the principal, squeezing her doggy plushie, glares at them, threatening them with a supplementary lesson if they do not participate. The principal turns to leave, confidently depending on them to complete the task before the first class. The glasses girl hugs herself, shivering, dreading the possibility of supplementary lessons. The sunglasses girl is annoyed, frustrated by such a small time limit. Momoka also panics, eager to help. The flashy guy confidently proposes his plan to stay in class in case he comes back, immediately getting chewed out by the sunglasses girl. Yasuo wakes up the sleeping giant, telling him that they need to get Tamito back or they'll receive supplementary lessons. A nervous Hinako attempts to soothe the tense situation, proposing that they not do anything too weird to Ichimura because they might scare him. They head off, ignoring the poor girl's pleas. Ichimura rushes through the halls, stopping as he hears the voice of Komori. A horrified Tamito is surprised to see the whole class running to get him, making him start to run again. They chase him as his paranoid mind conjures up a horrific sight. Surely they're gonna silence him for knowing the truth. With that motivation he starts running even faster. With an excited smile Momoka promises to catch him, noting that his frightened look while running for his life makes her want to violate him. Motivated she starts running with intense speed, Hinako pleading for her to wait. An exhausted Tamito leans on a door when suddenly he finds himself strung up by a sudden jolt of shock courses through his body. A delighted Momoka steps forward, the device in her hands, surprising the boy. Once again she rummages inside her skirt, taking out another horrific instrument that reached the ceiling. Breaking free, he tells her that an object like that would skewer him, exciting her. She pounces forward eager to attack, causing him to take out a baton to deflect her thrust, surprising her. She can't help but admire his elegant rod as they begin to clash. They take a step back, the girl praising his ability. They both pounce for a final strike. She falls down to the floor, completely satisfied as a panicking Tamito begins running away again. The rest of the class catches up, arriving to Momoka on the floor. They note that it seems like she had climaxed and she agrees, telling them that Ichimura had penetrated her with his thick hard black rod and defeated her. He reaches the stairs, finally finding a light at the end of the tunnel. A large stomp stops him in his tracks as the girl with sunglasses and the girl with glasses intercept him from above the stairs. He begins to dread, if what the principal said was true, then that means that these two were also criminals. The girl with sunglasses suddenly throws something at his direction,